More often than not, legacy sequels end up being pure cash grabs. From a purely economic standpoint, it makes sense. Why wouldn't studios want to cash in on beloved IP that has a built-in fan base and therefore an almost guaranteed foundation of ticket sales or streaming views? Never mind the fact that not all stories, even the best ones, need to be franchises or even continue beyond a one-off. When Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis announced they'd be reprising their beloved Freaky Friday characters Anna and Tess Coleman for a new sequel that picks up 22 years after their 2003 body-swapping remake, it elicited some groans. Sure, the first movie was a millennial classic, but why retread old ground? There's only so far nostalgia can go in supporting a movie. Thankfully, Freakier Friday banks on more than just nostalgia, though rest assured there's a welcome helping of that here too.
Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan's chemistry shines.
The heart of the first film was the pedigree behind it. Curtis was already a well-established veteran actress long before she signed on to play a widowed mother who inadvertently switched bodies with her rebellious teen daughter on the eve of her wedding. Sure enough, Curtis turned in a hilarious and heartfelt performance both as Tess and Anna. Lohan, meanwhile, was on the brink of massive success. She had already established herself as a once-in-a-generation child actor talent with another remake, The Parent Trap, 5 years earlier. Freaky Friday was the first in a string of high-profile leading roles. Everywhere you looked in the 2000s, you'd see Lohan, including another millennial classic, Mean Girls, that released just a year later. Lohan was at the top of her game as Anna, and though on paper her role would seem less funny than Curtis's, she injected plenty of heart and humor into it. While Lohan and Curtis were both well-respected separately, it was their effortless, natural chemistry that catapulted Freaky Friday to classic status. Even after over 20 years away, the two slip easily back into their familiar dynamic in Freakier Friday. It's great to see them interacting again as Tess and Anna, and the sequel does a great job of aging up these characters. Anna's still fundamentally the person we met as a teen in Freaky Friday, but she's grown up in the years since. But the conceit of the script, which sees a four-way body swap amid Anna's own impending wedding, cleverly allows Lohan and Curtis to explore a brand new dynamic on top of their old one. Lohan gets to play Anna's 14-year-old daughter Harper, who she decided to have as a single mom in her 20s, while Curtis has a ton of fun as fashionista Gen Z teen Lily Davies, Harper's nemesis and would-be stepsister, when the quartet is thrust into another body-swapping incident after Anna's bachelorette party. The one drawback is, with such a busy plot and so many emotional threads to balance, Anna and Tess's relationship takes a back seat to Anna and Harper's. It's a risky choice, given that Harper is a new character in this world, but it mostly pays off thanks to Lohan and Butter's performances and dynamic as mother and daughter. Still, it would have been great for the film to delve more into the simmering tension between Tess and Anna over Tess's aggressive overstepping when it comes to parenting Harper. In the name of being helpful and involved, she forces herself into the role of a second parent. That subplot is essentially dropped by the film's conclusion in favor of the more pressing emotional dramas, but it's easy to see that devoting more time to it would have made an already busy story even more overstuffed.
Yes, the movie is overstuffed. Freaky Friday already had a story it was retelling, based on a book which had already been made into a movie twice before. Director Mark Waters and writers Heather Hotch and Leslie Dixon made the 2003 version their own, but it still ultimately followed all the beats of the source material. Freakier Friday had the more potent challenge of telling a new story without source material that could both fit within the universe of the first movie while doing something different enough to justify its existence. Remarkably, it does. Freakier Friday mirrors plenty of story beats from the first movie, but it also cleverly subverts many of them, including most notably the climactic moment. The sharp script by Elise Hollander and Jordan Weiss also leans heavily into how times have changed since the early aughts, and while the Gen Z-centered humor doesn't always land, occasionally veering into cringe territory, it works overall. The jokes fly a mile a minute, And especially in the first act, the film feels a bit choppy as it speeds ahead through necessary exposition and world building to set the audience up in the story it's telling. Some scenes in the beginning feel almost frenetic and fly by so fast they're tough to digest, but the pace slows to a manageable one soon enough, allowing viewers to develop a rapport with the new characters and reacquaint themselves with the ones they already knew.
Returning Freaky Friday characters elevate the story.
This is obviously Curtis and Lohan's party, but there are a number of other returning characters from the original who are welcome additions. Mark Harmon has a small but sweet part to play in his return as Tess's second husband and Anna's stepfather, Ryan. He's also part of one of the movie's funniest scenes, as Lily is thrust into the final game of Tess and Ryan's pickleball tournament. There are also memorable moments reserved for Christina Vidal Mitchell as Maddie and Haley Hudson as Peg, Tess's best friends and Pink Slip bandmates from the original, and Stephen Tobolowsky as Mr. Elton Bates, the power-hungry teacher who has still not retired and returns to torment a new generation of teens. Chad Michael Murray gets the meatiest role of the returnees outside Lohan and Curtis as Anna's high school ex, Jake, her love interest from the first movie. The script has a lot of fun teasing out how the whole body swap incident in the midst of Anna and Jake's initial courtship had surprising ramifications on Jake. In fact, several of the moments that will yield the biggest laughs revolve around Jake, including the awkward hilarity of his reunion with Anna and Tess. Even with all the legacy characters, there's still space for the new additions to stand out. Vanessa Bayer has a particularly funny role as Madame Jen, the aspiring multi-hyphenate psychic who initiated the body swap this time around. Bayer's Saturday Night Live pedigree is firing on cylinders, and she gets a few of the funniest lines. Even the actors with bit parts get plenty to chew on. Mayo as Principal Waldman and Santina Muha as Judy, a recently heartbroken immigration agent, are two highlights. Among this flurrying network of new characters, three are, by virtue of the story, the most important. Manny Jacinto as Anna's fiancé, Eric Davies, a British restaurateur who proposed after a whirlwind 6-month romance. Butters as Harper, Anna's daughter, and Hammonds as Lily, Anna's stepdaughter-to-be. The younger actors have a tough act to follow, mimicking the same body swap antics as Lohan and Curtis in the original classic. Thankfully, the tweaked premise lends itself to new avenues for humor. Butters and Hammonds really plumb the comedy of two aging women remembering the perks of being young, with all the bone-dense invincibility and light-speed metabolism that comes with it. Of the newcomers, Manny Jacinto is king. Anyone who has been following Jacinto since his breakout turn as Jason Mendoza in The Good Place knows how talented he is at comedy, but Freakier Friday provides Jacinto fertile ground to prove his versatility and his chops as a leading man, especially vital given how unfortunately rare it is to see an Asian male as the main love interest in a rom-com, or even just a leading man. Between his swoon-worthy moments with Lohan's Anna, his delightful dance break, and the more emotional father-daughter beats he has with Hammonds, there's no denying Jacinto is an absolute star. This role should kickstart a major wave of offers for him. For all the movie's highlights and its few issues, one thing stands out above all: how wonderful it is to see Lohan back in action. This is easily her best performance in years since the Lohan-naissance that kicked off a few years back. She looks incredible. The wardrobe department nails it and is so joyful on screen that it's impossible not to smile when watching her. For longtime fans who have rooted for Lohan's return, Freakier Friday is a real gift, playing to all the things the actress does best. It's extra special to see how much care the filmmakers took to infuse additional tributes to Lohan herself throughout the movie, from subtle Mean Girls references to a more overt cameo from one of her Parent Trap co-stars. In all, this legacy sequel offers plenty of heart and humor, making it a solid, breezy watch both for fans of the original and those coming in afresh. Freakier Friday is in theaters August 8th.